So today we are looking at a very unique situation. We are seeing that upper Ohio Valley in the Michigan area severe threat. We only see these very few times a year, so it's very interesting considering where the Great Lakes are at and how the topography is set up of this region. We never get to see these gigantic systems like this moving through that are going to have all the storm modes at their highest potential. So we could see tornadoes, severe damaging winds, and hail is also expected. Damaging winds are expected anywhere that the enhanced is and inwards, including that moderate that we are looking at. We've only seen a few moderates this year, so considering we're being given that, it's going to be a very big day, it looks like, overall. So looks like most storm modes are showing and most storm models are agreeing upon a general consensus of everything is going to form into a squall line at some point. It depends on where. There will be individual supercells that will pop up, and everything else will then form as a squall line. So this area is famous for squall lines, the Ohio Valley and Midwest. So things to kind of pay attention to is individual supercells. Those are going to have a tornado threat. They are forming down towards Kentucky and moving northeast. But the storms that are going to have damaging winds are forming in Indiana and traveling more east-northeast. We did do a briefing on this, so I'll have that linked in the description below, so go ahead and go check that out. It was done previously, though. It was done yesterday, before this was upgraded to moderate, so the stuff is a little bit shifted towards the north and to the east a little bit, that enhanced zone, but it all holds the same information for Cape-wise, what all is going to be happening, so it all holds the same information. It's just where the NWS agreed yesterday they should put the models. But we are looking at the wind, and that is our biggest threat today. Tornado threat is about 5% at highest, so tornadoes are definitely possible. Whenever we see that 5%, a lot of outbreaks have occurred in 5%. Not saying there's going to be one, but just saying that we don't need a huge percentage to see tons of storm development. But wind-wise, significant wind is expected. We do see the highest amount of wind possible up in Michigan near Detroit, clear down to parts of Toledo and even potentially Fort Wayne, Indiana. And we do see significant dropping down into that region too, and we do see that 40%. So wind-wise, it is a guaranteed damaging wind event. Huge squall lines, tons of damaging winds, and damaging winds can be just as deadly as tornadoes. And especially with squall lines across the Midwest, we have seen winds higher than some tornado winds, some of those tornadic winds. We do see them as high as hurricanes. So it is a overall day that you need to be ready and you need to be weather aware. That's why we always say to be weather ready. In this situation, we don't see too many of these storm modes combined perfectly, especially here in 2020. We haven't seen enough of these combined perfectly to say guaranteed there is going to be something up in the Midwest in Ohio Valley. So it is the first of the year for this big potential damaging wind event. But looking at temperature-wise, what we can expect overall is this to be kind of guided through a cold front. The Cristobal is moved now into Canada, and it has left a slot of cooler air. I mean, not super cool air, but out in front of it has actually brought more tropical moisture north. So out in front of it, we are seeing temperatures hit roughly 90. So when we see temperatures hit 90, that means one thing, and that's daytime convection, especially with tropical moisture. That is why we are seeing such a big lift with this system. So stuff's going to be forming just in front of that cold front. You can kind of see that dip there, and then how it kind of goes back up to the north through Indiana. Stuff is going to be initiating mid to late afternoon and getting into the region. It's going to hit parts of Michigan first, and then it's going to go through Ohio about second, and then it'll continue off to the east. So we'll see that Michigan initiation roughly 2 p.m., and then we'll see a later on one kind of at 5 or 6 p.m. across Ohio. So going ahead and looking at our morning hours, not much to expect here. We do see that Cristobal is way up there in Canada at the very edge of our forecasting model range, and so not expecting it to really have too much impact other than the fact that this band that is going to be created today with the damaging winds and huge threats for damaging winds, hail, and other events potential, that is going to be guided by Cristobal. It is that tropical remnant that is in the Ohio Valley today. So then the big time to talk about the afternoon. What is going on with this? So this exact time, this was 21Z. Different models have different opinions on this. They all agree on two things. One, that the best chance for severe supercells are going to form somewhere along the Ohio-Indiana border. Now, they are agreeing that most tornadic ones will form towards Cincinnati, so you can think Lexington, the Cincinnatis, where we'll see some of those cells pop up. Somewhere in there is our best chance for the tornadic ones, and then if you know where I-70 is, you can basically cut Ohio and Indiana in half. North of I-70 is where they're expecting the most of this severe threat. But once again, we did a briefing, we will go into all of that, but that's what you can expect in the afternoon. Then, in the nighttime hours, this is taken roughly 5 hours later, we do see that it has now formed a gigantic squall line through there, and kind of just talking about this one, this is the most aggressive on the squall line side. It shows that this is the most aggressive model with that squall line. Now, other models have supported a higher supercell structure. The National Weather Service is supporting a higher supercell structure. So if you want to go check out our briefing, we did dive into the HRRR, some of that NSSL model, and some of that NMMB, and that's where we looked at more of what the supercell structure is probably going to be like. And then some of those, like the NMMB, is where you can see more of supercell to squall line, and the National Weather Service supports a mix of supercells, and then later on in that supercell's life, it does combine to create a small squall line. So overall today, make sure you check out our briefing. Make sure you're paying attention to local news sources, especially in this area, because they're going to have the most accurate information on what the topography will have effect on and what all could happen. So make sure you are paying attention to all that, being weather ready, and I hope you all stay safe. Please join us back tomorrow for another forecast, and anytime there is a bigger than enhanced threat. We hope to see you soon, and thank you for watching.